Hello and welcome to Found Footage. I'm Siobhan. Today I'm not joined by Casey, I'm joined by Blake.
Oh, hello.
You should check out X to Attack. Blake does stuff over there. It's the real good.
I do stuff there.
What else do you do?
Not a lot, really.
I was
I
waiting
just
for
sit around.
I was waiting for you to be like, I stream.
Oh yeah, I do that.
You're like, very occasionally.
Very occasionally I stream.
So today we watched Predator from 1987.
Yeah, we did.
Predator is one of Blake's all-time favorite movies.
Correct. Actually, incorrect. It is my all-time favorite film.
See, like, I know that you love Predator, and I know that you love The Thing.
I put Predator just above The Thing.
1 second.
Like, if Predator is a solid 10 out of 10, I'd say The Thing is a 9.8. I think for me, the thing that puts the Predator over The Thing is that the Predator never made me question whether or not my friends were aliens.
That is fair. I mean, none of your friends are bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger, which
True.
is, a bonus.
Yeah, they really ain't.
So yeah, so this is your top movie. The Thing
Oh
is your
yeah.
number 2.
Like this one is my all-time favorite film.
See, I don't know what my all-time favorite film would be, because I find it really difficult to pick, like, one absolute favorite.
It's probably Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
Probably. I that was Zombie Island. No!
You do like you love the Scooby-Doo movies.
I do love the Scooby-Doo movies.
Weirdly enough, I don't think there's been a Scooby-Doo movie about the Predator yet. I wonder why.
Oh my god, dude, they should do one. That'd be amazing.
Just Fred getting his face blown off. And Shaggy's like, oh shit.
And then
That's bad.
Scooby's like, you're one ugly son of a bitch.
Can you imagine Scooby-Doo calling the Predator an ugly son of a bitch?
Yeah, that right. So the film begins. Well, it sort of begins with, like, there's a helicopter in the sky, but that's whatever. But our main cast of characters start getting out of this helicopter after they've landed. They're all dressed differently. They all look like, oh, well, that's clearly like the silent guy. That's clearly like the real strong guy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you told me a fun fact at the beginning of the movie that because Arnold is the last one to get out of the helicopter. Obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Dutch. He's the main character, aside from the Predator.
Yes. So while he is inside the helicopter, they couldn't allow him to light his cigar inside the helicopter at the start because obviously something goes wrong. It could cause like a explosion or something.
Yeah, health and safety, man.
So they had to add the glow in like post. So when you see him like sucking on the, I think the light, the fire from the lighter is real, but he didn't actually put it near enough to the cigar to light it, and the glow on the end of the cigar is actually just digital, which for a film that came out in 1987 is very well done.
Oh yeah, like the thing is, like, you'll be like, oh, 1987, they'll have had like some CG and stuff, but to get something like that quite like accurate, realistic, I mean, it'd be difficult to do now if you didn't have like the proper like training.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously he gets out of the I was gonna say the umbrella, and I don't know why my brain just went say umbrella.
It is a helicopter.
He gets out of the helicopter, and we're all like, wow.
Well, like they're all Mary Poppins, just they all came down with an umbrella.
Yeah. Dutch opens the umbrella, and everybody falls out of it. Like, this is where I keep my men.
These are my men.
Fucking hell. But yeah, so we were like, oh, that's a really fucking large cigar.
Mm-hmm. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger knows his cigars.
That was abnormally large. That was like the length and a half of like a regular one, I think. I don't know much about cigars, though.
You get different kinds.
I know you get different kinds, I know that bit.
I think I don't know what kind of cigar it was that he was smoking in the original one. I think if you read his autobiography, they might have put it in there what one it was.
Probably. You've read it, though, right? Or you've read bits?
Oh, no, I've read the whole thing.
Just not recently enough.
No, I might actually go back and read it again, honestly.
Do it. We want a full book review.
Alright, I'll do it. So yeah, like, like you're saying, like when all the characters are getting out the helicopter as well, it gives you a good idea of like the people you're gonna get to see in the film. So you see, like I don't remember who gets. I don't remember the order they get out in, but I'm pretty sure Blaine and Billy are the first ones out. Then Hawkins, Dylan. No, Dylan's on there. Hawkins. What's his name? I always get Thingy's name wrong.
Ramirez?
Poncho and Hawkins. Mac, and finally at the very end, Dutch kind of climbs out on his own,
Dooch.
and they're all dressed in a different way from each other. So like the one that I always remember the most is that Hawkins and Poncho are dressed very sort of like casually compared to everyone else. Yeah, like from the outset, it really gives you a good idea that you're dealing with like not just standard generic army men, but they do have like personalities.
Yeah, so you're not dealing with like that, like Cadet 1, Cadet 2, Cadet 3. It's like this is this guy, this is this guy, this is
Like
that
they
guy.
are from the outset, they are established
Different
gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah, but we followed that up obviously with some Arnold impressions. You can't watch a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it without being like, Dylan.
Especially not Predator, that has so many quotable Arnold Schwarzenegger lines.
Like, the vast majority of your quotable Arnold Schwarzenegger lines are from this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, get to the chopper, Dylan, you son of a bitch, kill me, come on, do it.
What's all this fucking Thai business?
That is my next note, is like, they get a little bit to where they're supposed to go. They go in like, this building, blah blah, and then Dylan is there. He's like, Dylan, you son of a bitch.
You got, what's the other one? Like, you got, if it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah.
That's another very well-known line. The thing is, this film had a lot of, like, not even just Arnold, but it had a lot of, like, quotable and often referred to lines, like,
Yeah.
what was one that always gets me? It's when Billy thinks he sees the Predator. He's like, there's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man.
Yeah.
And he looks over at everyone and goes, we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, technically, you're wrong. 2 of you are gonna survive. But also, yes, it ain't no man. Technically, it was under the costume, but it ain't no man.
Ain't no man. We're gonna keep them down.
But like I was saying to you, Siobhan, when we were watching it, the thing about this film is that because it all takes place in the jungle, aside from like some of the haircuts and stuff, and like the overall look of the film, it doesn't give away its date very much.
No.
So it looks better than I think Predator 2 does, in the sense that like Predator 2 took place in the middle of a city, so all the computers, all the like cars, all that, all had a very dated look to them now.
Yeah.
But, you know, trees and water, no matter when you film them, are going to look like trees and water. Army suits haven't really changed too much, especially not when they're stylized for a movie to, like, have no arms, so you can see Arnold Schwarzenegger's ridiculous biceps and
His
all
biceps
that.
in, like, every frame that you can justifiably put them in.
Even something that you don't even justify them for. You're just like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
here is the
like,
bicep while he's holding a gun.
Yeah, that's Arnie's biceps.
Despite the fact that it came out 87 is 97... Christ almighty, this film's coming up for 40 years old in 2027.
Fuck.
So it's like it's over 30 years old now.
Yeah.
It still looks very good, especially like when they're out in the daytime.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of it's filmed using natural light as well, because obviously they're out in like natural sets during daylight.
Yeah, they're in a fictional area of South America called Valverde, but they were actually in like real outdoors. I think they were in Mexico for that film.
Yeah, that sounds about right, to be honest.
Like, obviously, you got a lot of like really strong sunlight in the nighttime as well. Like, they use a lot of natural light in the way of like Arnold lighting fires and whatnot for visibility. So like, they didn't use a lot of stage lighting. There was like very few like sets that were built to make the film. A lot of it is just like outdoors filming on location, and I think that makes it look a lot better, and it's harder to put an age on it. Like, obviously the overall quality of the film is lower because it was filmed in, I don't know when the filming started for that film. I want to say it was like 85 that they started.
So say I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds like you would probably start filming about then, I would think.
I think 85 was when they started on the script. and like giving it to people to produce. And I think the filming started in '86 because that's when he married Maria Shriver. He was filming Predator while he was preparing to get married, which there's kind of two different situations to be in.
Two very different situations, two very big jobs.
one day you're marrying the love of your life at the time. Like I think they got divorced after that, but at the time, love of your life, best day ever. Next day you're up to your neck in mud in Mexico, being hunted by a 7'2" alien that has just killed all your friends.
Hey, sometimes that happens, you know what I mean? One day, like
typical week.
Exactly. Like Thursday you're getting married, Sunday you're in the mud. It's just one of those things, man.
So story-wise, the thing that Predator I think is most well known for in the sort of horror community, I'd guess, is that it feels like two different films.
Yes.
And it splits in the middle. It starts off feeling like, look how impossibly buff and perfect these should be 6 but are 7 dudes. So you got Dutch's like full team of Dutch, Mac, Poncho, Billy, Blaine, and Hawkins, right?
Yep.
Then you find out Dylan's coming along with them because, as you find out halfway through, he's got a stake in what they're doing over there.
But also, Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, he is a bit of a son of a bitch. So
bit.
Dutch's team are a group of mercenaries, I guess, but they specialize in rescue operations.
Yeah, because he's like, we're not assassins, we search and rescue.
And they are tasked by General Phillips to find a foreign cabinet minister, in air quotes, who have been, air quotes, held hostage by insurgents.
There's a lot of air quotes at the beginning part of this movie. Because
yeah,
you're like...
a lot of shifty-eyed looks between Dylan and Phillips as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, shifty eye contact where you're like, right, you guys are clearly not telling Mr. Schwarzenegger the whole truth.
So they get there, there's a lot of, like, the initial quarter of the film is, like, character introduction, so you get the idea of, like, how this unit operates. So obviously Dutch, he's the leader. Everyone listens to him.
Yeah.
Poncho is the guy who runs about with a grenade launcher, so you know that he deals in explosives. Blaine has a minigun, so you get the feeling all he does is shoot. Hawkins is the guy with the radio. Billy tracks everything. Mac is just kind of like second in command, I think, is kind of his role.
Yeah.
It also gives you an idea of the friendships between the team as well.
Yeah, as I say, like, he's bros with Blaine. Like, that's his bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, it gives you an idea of them. They come across the camp that they've been looking for, and all-out gunfight warfare ensues where absolutely none of the good guys are killed. In fact, I think only one of them is very lightly wounded, which gives you the line, "I ain't got time to bleed." Another well-quoted line.
It legit does.
It's one of those things as well where, like, I feel like it lulls you, like, if it's the first time you watched it, it lulls you into a false sense of security, because you're like, alright, these dudes are just shooting guns. The thing about this film that I've noticed, actually, they do reload their magazines in this game.
I have...
Film! Good lord!
In the gun game film! No, I noticed that as well, because in a lot of the times in movies, they don't actually show you them reloading, and it's like, oh, well, your movie gun's just got unlimited bullets, but they reload their magazines and shit in this movie, so, fair play.
Maybe not as often as they shoot bullets, but they do reload quite often. So the start of the film kind of, like, tricks you into thinking, like, you're given the occasional hint of the Predator. You see, like, the team through thermal imaging.
Yep.
But
I have dubbed it in my notes as Predivision.
It really is.
That's exactly what it is.
We'll get back to that in a bit as well, because there's something else that I want to bring up about it. But
of course,
they win, obviously, and then it's revealed that Dylan was lying to them, and it was a setup so that he, being CIA, could get a bunch of intelligence.
Yeah.
Because I think it's the Russians, he said, were basically bringing a load of weapons and stuff over the border from Mexico to the US, which would be bad.
Yeah, because also when they're going around like the camp thing, shooting folk and like getting rid of these people to try and get these hostages that they think that they're getting. There is a subtitle that's like somebody speaking in Russian.
Mm-hmm.
So
So if you put the subtitles on it, it's kind of spoiled for you at the start that they're. I think a lot of them are speaking Spanish, but I think there is
Yeah.
one Russian. Um, but then you find out that obviously Dylan lied and just used them as
As like,
basically a weapon of his own to point at and kill whoever.
yeah, pretty much.
They capture one person surviving, a woman called Anna, because her whole thing was trying to sneak up behind Dutch with a pistol, and he unceremoniously 180s and twats her in the nose with the butt of a gun and knocks her out.
Yeah, and he's like, oh shit, it's a girl.
And originally he's just like, leave her here. Like, I get the feeling that he knew from the off that she wasn't really. She could have shot him in the back if she wanted.
Yeah, no, she
didn't really want to kill him. She was kind of. I think she was gonna kind of be more like, put your gun down. I just want to leave, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's like that moment when that firefight ends and the sort of the rift in the team between the actual team and Dylan is when the film slowly starts to tilt more towards the horror aspect than the war aspect.
Yeah.
Because
that's when you start getting more shots from like the Predator's vision and stuff, and you're like, well, we can see things from this thing's perspective, but we've not seen this thing. It could be anywhere. It could look like anything.
And the nice thing is as well is the first time you get the Predator vision, it's up in the trees, so you as the audience already know it's moving through the trees above them.
Yeah.
Because when they so near the start, sorry, I forgot to mention that they find the skinned bodies of
They do.
Jim Hopper and his team, who Dutch knows personally.
Yeah.
And Billy is like, they were shooting in all directions. And Dutch is like, I can't believe that Jim Hopper would walk into an ambush. And Billy says, I don't think he did.
Yeah.
And mentions that there's no tracks or anything. And he's like, it's like these men just disappeared. And from the start, you're like, what the fuck? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
And as soon as you see the Predator vision like moving through the trees, you're like, oh,
it's from the trees. Yeah.
It's above them. It's like a hunter of some kind.
You also get the feeling like from that point, Billy knows that something is fucking up because he can't see any tracks, and like that's his fucking thing.
Yeah, like they do it really well. They show off from the start that Billy is on point with tracking. Like he was like, the guerrillas scooped up 2 men from the helicopter, walked that way, and then 6 pairs of U.S. Army boots started following that trail from the north. And you're like, I could see a footprint in a lump of mud at the park and be like, I don't know quite what direction this person was walking.
Yeah.
But I know he was wearing shoes.
Yeah, you're like, I know that there was person.
But Billy, obviously, he is like, it's kind of like somewhat unbelievable.
Yeah,
the extent, but you get the feeling there are people who probably can track that well.
Yeah.
And for him to turn around and be like, this doesn't make sense, like, he can't track it. As the audience, especially if you've seen the film before, you're like, yeah, you didn't look up, that was your problem.
Yeah, you should have looked up, would have solved your problems way easier. I also want to make a note that the practical effects on the 3 skinned bodies look really nice. Like, obviously it doesn't look nice because, obviously, it is fleshy, skinned corpses hanging from trees, but, like, it looks good. Like, it looks gory.
It does. So yeah, that moment where you start to see things through the Predator's vision is where the film, like, the way I see it, if you're watching it as the audience, you already know, like, the film opens with you seeing, like, a spaceship dropping off something to Earth, so you've already got it in your head that there's an alien of some kind.
Yeah.
But if you try and look at it through the character's eyes, it starts to tilt into more, like, alright, we may be, like, quote-unquote, the best mercenary team in the world, but even we're out of our depth at this point, like...
Yeah.
Dylan's like, we need to take Anna with us, she has information. Dutch, quite smartly, is like, no, she'll yell and give away our position and get us killed. And then when Dylan won't relent because he's technically the superior officer in the situation, Dutch is like, alright, she's your fucking issue, then you deal with her.
Yeah.
She does try and escape. Hawkins catches up to her and is just... I feel bad for Hawkins because he's like, please, stop running. Like...
Yeah.
He's trying to be nice to her.
Yeah, but he's trying to just be like, please, just come with it. Please just come.
That's when you get your first technical view of the Predator. It runs out of the jungle behind him, fully camouflaged. Like, you just see sort of, like, heat wave ripples around it.
Yeah.
And the camera cuts to Anna as just, like, blood goes all over her. And think the first real like proper image you get that shows that if you weren't convinced it's an alien, it is you see its hand grab Hawkins' leg and pull him away, and the fingers are long, and you can kind of make out like claws at the end, and you're like, oh no.
But the whole perspective of him is like, obviously he's still camouflaged, so like his image is warped because, like you said, instead of using like a green morph suit, they had to use a red one because obviously the jungle is green.
Yep.
So
I think the thing as well with like obviously the time period they were in, like with more modern Predator films, they kind of make it obvious where the Predator is through camera work.
Yeah.
Because they're able to make things look invisible way better.
Yeah.
But even for the technology back then, like there are some moments where like the Predator will be somewhere, like in full view, and it looks old and outdated, but still quite good in the sense that you're like, I can still see like through its body to the trees behind it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like the way they done it was they would film like the background where the like behind the Predator, and then film the Predator on it. So when they green screened it out, it would have like a almost correct background behind it, from what I remember.
Which is still, I would say, one of the better ways to get that sort of image. Like obviously, the space where they've had to green screen like out the shape of the Predator and in like the background. Like obviously it looks a little bit warped, but to me that just adds to the fact that like it's like an invisible creature wandering around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like from there, that like I was saying, that's when it starts to get into more horror territory.
Yeah.
The Predator begins to just sort of track them one by one, and it waits until someone's on their own. I think the next one is it kills Blaine. Like it just straight up plasma casters him through the back.
Yeah.
And then you get possibly the most bullets fired in one scene I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, 100%, yes.
Everyone just shoots their gun into this wide open patch of ground.
Yeah, because Mac, like, hears Blaine's shout because Blaine's, like, gone down. And then he enters, like, this little, like, tiny bit of clearing where, like, Mac's body is. And he goes fucking mental and he picks up Blaine's minigun and he just starts firing it fucking off. And everybody else shows up and then there's just bullets flying. And you said that this was one part that they definitely had to make like a set for so that they could blow it all up because they weren't going to just blow up the jungle, which is good.
Yeah, when they were filming that bit, they had to like they couldn't exactly just go and like mow down a patch of actual forest.
Yeah, that'd be frowned
so they
upon.
had a kind of set up to just like destroy a bunch of trees, because obviously if you're firing grenades and miniguns and stuff in there, then
You're going to cut down some foliage.
yeah, you're gonna fuck up some foliage.
Yeah. You're going to mow down some shit.
And then, you know, it kind of goes on from there where like the Predator just kind of tracks them a little bit. They take Blaine's body back. You find out the Predator's wounded, and the film gives you your first sort of look at them.
Yeah.
Well, they set up a bunch of like night traps for the.
So I say you don't get like a face shot of the Predator, but you get like a little shot of it like injecting its leg because it's lost a little bit of blood. Like it got hit, there was a lot of bullets flying around.
So it gives you 3 bits of information. 1, the Predator is clearly very self-sufficient because it performs a form of surgery on itself to remove the bullet and sort of seal the wound it's got.
Yep.
That also shows you off its like you see it's got bright green blood, which was made with personal lubricant, we'll say, and glow stick juice mixed together to make it thick enough to look like blood, but it's not like Vaseline where it'd be too thick to not be liquidy.
Yeah.
And obviously the bright green because it's an alien.
Yeah, and you want it to stand out against what you've got it on.
You get to see it's obviously got a range of technology with it as well. It's got like a wrist device that has like a little med kit under it, and for a very split second you get to see its mask when it obviously wrenches the bullet out of its own leg, which is a disgusting scene.
Oh, it's great.
It is great, but it's just gross. While it's doing that and seeing to itself, they've obviously bagged up Blaine's body, confused as to how him having his chest blown open, it was all cauterized and fused, and there was no gunpowder or anything.
None of that. Yeah.
we know to be because it was shot by like plasma,
By like
so
fucking
it just
laser beams.
burnt it. So yeah, they set up a bunch of traps at night to be like, all right, if it comes after us, it'll set off a trap. We'll know what it is. We'll get them, because some of them are still under the impression that it's just a couple of like little like just fucking forest boys or whatever that are trying to kill them after they killed first or whatever.
Yeah, like specifically Dylan's like, it's just like 2 or 3 guys out there. You shut up.
Technically, Dylan's wrong. It's only one guy.
Yeah, and it's an alien guy. A predator guy.
And then you've got the part where
Yeah.
the traps do go off.
Shit.
And actually, no, sorry, before that, I wanted to point out that there's a really, like, this film does a really good job of both promoting masculinity and, like, promoting, like, so it's a really manly, testosterone-filled film with all these guys, right? They're all buff, they all get shirtless, they're all ripped, they're all like, we are men.
And they've all
but
got
they also
heaps of
show,
guns.
like, emotion.
Yeah. So, like, they're showing lots of masculinity, but they're not doing it in a way that's totally toxic or anything, because there's a really, really nice scene where Mac's mourning Blaine, and he's, like, speaking to the moon kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's like, you feel like you almost shouldn't be watching.
There's also a part later on in the film where Billy admits to being scared.
Yeah.
And you don't often see, like, a very masculine character turn around and be like, I'm scared.
Yeah.
Especially not one who's set to be, like, somebody who's in his natural element, being frightened of something. The other thing as well is it shows that, like, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character is extremely smart to the point that he susses out that it clearly couldn't have just been regular
soldier boys,
insurgents, because Anna would have left with them, but she stayed where she was when Hawkins was killed.
Yeah.
He quickly susses out by the way that Jim Hopper and stuff died, that the Predator moves around using the trees. He susses out it uses heat vision after it fails to spot him when he's coated in mud.
Yeah.
He sets up like a 4D chest trap where he knows the Predator will follow him into a pit that he's lined with spikes that are well hidden, but not well enough hidden that this thing obviously would see them. It would then try and go the other way, where he set up a much harder to spot trap out of, like, leaves, a log, and some, like, rope.
Yeah. Because he's gone, like, super big brain with that one, where he's like, well, I can get him to follow me into this trap, but he's going to know it's a trap and think that he's outsmarting me by going around, but that's not the real trap, that's a fake trap for this real trap.
And then he's like, when it comes, I have to act like I'm surprised it sussed it out. Like, act like I'm like, oh shit, he's smarter than me, he's coming around. And then at the last second, kick the trap and go.
Yeah. Which is which is like a major play. You wouldn't expect it from, like, oh, it's a buff 80s action character played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not going to be smart, but, like, he's a smart guy.
Then, obviously, like, the traps are set off that night, and it's a wild pig.
Yeah, it's just a fucking pig.
It's kind of funny in a way that shouldn't be. Especially when Poncho's like, do you not think you could have got something bigger?
Yeah.
Also gives you a good, like, so twice in the film, right after the guerrilla encampment fight, you see Mac talking to Dylan, and it cuts to the Predator, and you see it mimicking what he said in his voice.
Yeah.
So it gives you the idea that the Predator can then mimic the things it hears to lure people into a trap.
Yep.
Fun fact, remember when, right after the attack on that camp, Billy says that he sees something, or, like, he knows where it is in the trees?
Yeah.
If you listened really quietly, I don't know if you heard it, you can hear Billy's laugh very quietly in the background, which is why he freaked the fuck out. Because the Predator...
I didn't actually hear that, no.
When he laughs at Hawkins' joke, you see the Predator, like, mimicking it. Ooh. And then he's doing the whole turn around over here thing, and he picks up the scorpion.
Yeah.
Very, very subtly, you can hear Billy's laugh again when he hears his own laugh and looks up towards the trees, which is why when Dutch comes up to him, Billy's freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, I didn't.
Because he heard his own laugh coming. Like, imagine if you heard your laugh coming from somewhere far away from you.
Well, it would be frightening, and 2, my laugh is horrible, so.
Yeah, you kind of feel bad for the Predator. Like, I would really go out and find another laugh if I were you.
Yeah, I'd be like, listen, I'd find somebody else to steal a laugh from, man.
So yeah, like, it turns out the wild pig, I don't know if it was put in there by the predator. Like I don't know if it maybe ushered the pig towards it or what,
Yeah.
but the pig setting off the trap leaves the predator enough time to come in from the trees and take Blaine's body away.
Yeah. And
Which is when Dutch is like, "Oh, it uses the trees."
Yeah, that's my next note. It's like he takes my body, and then Dutch is like, "Oh, he's using the trees." Like that's when he's like, "That's what he's doing. It's the trees."
And that also is the moment where a lot of the team are like, "Wait a minute, this can't just be your regular insurgent. Then, like, there's no way they could go from tree to tree and lift a fucking heavy dude
Yeah.
like Blaine."
Without
Just
anybody
up
hearing
out
or
of the
seeing
trees without a
anything.
sound.
Yeah.
So they set up another trap in the middle of the day, and they big brain again. So here's what I was going to say earlier about the predator vision, right? This isn't shown in the film, but it's shown in other films. So you know how they set up all the traps with like vines, leaves, tree branches and stuff, all natural things.
Yeah.
And he says that there's tripwires for 50 yards everywhere except where the other trap is.
Yeah.
It's not shown in this film, but the Predator has multiple vision modes through its mask. So you got heat vision, so it can see any sort of thermal imaging at once. So like body heat, all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got one where it can see like electronics, so it can see like cables, wires, and stuff in walls and whatnot. See anything that's made out of electricity.
Ah.
Um,
Which one do you see that in?
that's I don't remember what film you see it in. I don't know if you actually see it in a film, but you see it in the games.
Ah. Because I'm like, I don't remember seeing it in the movies that I've seen, unless it was either in one of the AVPs that I can't remember, or Predator 2, because I've not seen Predator 2.
There's also another mode that I don't know if they ever show you in any of the games or anything, but it can see things like the claymores and explosives and tripwires and stuff, because it has a vision that allows it to detect like certain elements like solid metals and whatnot.
Yeah.
Which is why it avoided all those traps and came in the way that like all the vines and stuff were put in, because it wouldn't be able to detect any of them being out of place.
Yeah.
Like, while you don't see it from the Predator's point of view, it implies that the Predator was using all of its different vision modes to spot things, which is also probably why it knows not to kill certain people, because they're not holding any sort of weapon.
Yeah, because they're unarmed.
Naturally, the Predator trips that trap and somehow manages to Uno reverse card them and accidentally shoot a big log into Poncho, which leaves him injured.
It's like Predator screeching was like one of the subtitles, and then it was like it was just.
It was a really funny screech.
It was brilliant. It was one of the best screeches.
The other thing is as well is this is the moment where you're kind of like, all right, they're thinning out the numbers, because Mac, who is still kind of mentally broken from losing his best friend and his teammates, because obviously they've been on missions together before, runs off after the Predator, and Dylan is kind of like, I've got to go after him. Maybe two of us can kill this thing. Dutch is like, you know you're not gonna come back from this, right? So Dylan's like, maybe I can just get even before I die. Yeah. And the team splits off into two. So you've got Mac and Dylan running off to try and hunt the Predator that's just escaped from them.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Dutch, Poncho, Billy, and Anna run off to get to the chopper.
Yeah,
a line that you may never have heard before, but was actually in this film.
It was in this film, but also Dylan's like, get to the damn chopper, because Dutch is like, I'll go after him, and Dylan's like, no, it's my destiny now to reclaim my good name.
So then you've also got possibly one of the saddest and greatest deaths, one after another. The camera, like the Dutch's squad, just kind of run off, and the film follows. It follows Dylan, because you see Mac kind of losing his mind and singing "Long Tall Sally" as he runs after the Predator, and you get the feeling that he's snapped.
Yeah, he snapped a little bit. He's like, "This is for my boy. I don't care whether I die. I'm gonna get you."
Yeah, it's basically like I'll trade off my life for this thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad, but the two of them spot the Predator in trees, and they're like, "Oh, we can flush it out and kill it."
Yeah.
So Dylan goes one way, Mac goes like through a kind of like natural small trench in the floor, and you see 3 red dots on his arm as he's crawling, anyone who knows the Predator is like, oh shit, he's dead.
Yeah, three
So
red dots is the Predator's fucking plasma cannon. That's its main weapon.
That is the targeting system for the plasma caster,
Yeah.
and the three dots line up on his forehead, and his head
Headshot.
explodes, and then in the next shot, just the back of his head is exploded.
So you can so that you can see Dylan recognize that is Mac.
Yep. Really scary bit is when Dylan first sees Mac's body and he's just staring directly at him, but he's dead.
Yeah.
Then I can't remember if he says turn around or if he says over here, but the Predator mimics Mac's voice.
Yeah.
And
that bit, I was like, oh, that's creepy.
Yeah,
like,
that's when you see why it was copying the voice, because that is scary as shit.
Mm-hmm. Like, you're staring that dead guy in the eyes, and then you hear his voice from behind you being like, over here. Creepy.
Then you get, like, a really cool moment where the Predator shoots off Dylan's arm.
Yes.
But the arm is still holding down the trigger of the gun that he was pulling.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they did that effect. I just know that even today, that is a brilliant moment.
It's an incredibly memorable scene. Like, I can't remember whether I'd seen the entirety of this movie before we watched it just now. I don't know if I have, but I remember so much of it that I think maybe I have seen the movie, and I just forgot that I'd seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But that is one scene like I always remember having seen before. It's just the severed arm still firing shots as it hits the floor.
And then, unfortunately, the Predator... Like, you know that the Predator kind of runs in, like, a circle around him.
Yeah.
And that part gave me nightmares. Like, just seeing how fast it ran and how determined it was and how it just stabbed him and lifted him up in the air. Like, that was one of the things that gave me nightmares as a kid, was just, like, seeing it run at someone like that, but, like, it ran in a sort of half circle around him so that he couldn't just point his gun at it and shoot it.
Yeah, even though it's one of your all-time favorite creatures and your all-time favorite movies, you're like, it still gave me nightmares, but I love it.
Oh, I had nightmares for years. I still occasionally have nightmares about the Predator. Like, it's just so scary. Unfortunately, after that, the Predator kind of catches up to everyone really quickly, because obviously it moves through the trees.
Yeah.
Billy tries to do, like, a last stand, throws his guns and stuff off the side,
Yeah,
whips out his knife,
Yep.
dies immediately.
Yeah, I've just got Billy wants to go mano a mano, and then it cuts to Billy screams.
Yep. Then it catches up and it just shoots Poncho in the side of the head. Like, I think it's because he was injured. It's like, just finish it off.
Yeah.
Just kill it. Get it out of the way. Dutch then realizes that it didn't kill Anna because... Or Dutch, like, realized before it didn't kill Anna because she didn't have a gun. She wasn't armed. There was no sport in killing her.
Yeah.
So he sends her away, just tells her to run, go, get to the chopper.
I was going to say, and then he said the line. I just got the notes. He said the line.
He did say the line.
That's
when you get, like, the second to last part of Dutch being big brain.
Yeah.
Is he kind of falls off a cliff into some water, falls over a waterfall, and then washes up on a bank covered in, like, thick, cold mud.
Yeah, and he sort of drags himself up because he hears a splash from behind him. He's like, "Ah, that fucking pretty
that thing
boy
is coming."
Yep. And so he slides up this bank and hides in, like, the roots of a tree, and yeah, he then comes to the conclusion, well, the Preddy can't fucking see him.
Like I showed Siobhan while we were watching as well, when it comes to that scene where he's got his arms wrapped around the roots and it cuts to the Predator's vision trying to find him, if you pause it after a couple of seconds of Predator vision, you can actually make out the outline of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the trees. So they actually did bother to, like, mask his thermal signature for that shot.
Yeah, which is, like, attention to detail that they could have gotten away with not putting it in and just not having him in the shot, but they did it and it was good.
Mm-hmm. Another thing about this scene as well is that the water short circuits the Predator's cloaking ability, so you get, like, your first real proper look at the alien.
Look.
And it's like the whole fishnet, like, spotted kind of skin.
Yep, the dreadlocks.
You've got, like, the huge hands, the big clawed feet, all the technology it's got on it.
Yep.
But also the fact that it's not armored all over. It's only armored on sort of, like, its face, its wrist, and its shoulder. Yep. The rest of it is, like, this thing just hunts hand to hand.
Yeah, like, it's got a lot of outward
it can't find him because its helmet it doesn't have Schwarzenegger vision, which
Yeah.
would be a great upgrade,
Yeah, we should get
but they
that.
don't have it.
We should get that to the Predator for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you come to sort of like the final showdown scene where Dutch is like, well, it's just me. Oh, wait, before, like, while that, like, so Dutch has another setting up his trap scene.
Yeah,
including
he's got a trap making
the,
montage.
the making of a bow and arrow, taking a bunch of grenades and stuff, unscrewing them, and putting all the gunpowder inside them into, like arrow tips to make explosive arrows.
Yep.
He sets up the trap that eventually kills the Predator and whatnot. While he's doing that, you get a view of the Predator looking at all the skulls it's taken, and if you look, it's actually got... You can make out which skull is for which person based on, like, how it killed him. Like, I think you actually see Poncho's skull there as well, because it's got a burnt hole in the top right of its head, or top left of its head, where he got shot as they were walking.
Yeah.
And you see it with Billy's body, and it rips his spine and skull out and then kicks the body off, and then you see it start to, like, it begins to clean off the skull to take it away, and you're like, oh, like Anna mentioned earlier, it makes trophies of the people it kills, which is why it's going after this, like, mercenary team that are so good, because it wants to prove itself by hunting the best of the best.
Because there's no sport in killing, like, unarmed women, children, civilians. But if you're going after people who have proven themselves to be, one, they have weapons, two, you've seen them crawl around and kill others, you're like, yes, this is sport, this is trophies that I want.
Mm-hmm.
I've also got the Preddy caress the skull as a note, because he does sort of just give one of them a...
Yeah, he, like, runs a finger across it, and you get the feeling that he's like, I've got a good haul.
Yeah.
But he knows there's one more to get.
Mm-hmm. And he wants to complete the set.
Dutch lures the Predator over with a big manly yell.
Yep, it comes up saying guttural yell, which is like,
That's one way to describe it.
I also wrote George of the Jungle next to it, because I was like, that's not what he does, but I was waiting for it.
He does swing from tree to tree.
He does, but he doesn't smash into it, though.
Imagine he did. Just, like, right into the tree.
Yeah, just fucking...
The one thing about this scene is I like that it starts off, like, it's almost like a boxing match in a way, where, like, it starts off with Dutch getting a few really good hits in, like, the Predator's falling for all his traps.
Yeah.
Like I was saying to Siobhan, he sets off a really large fire, and he's still coated in mud, so the Predator's, like, heat vision is showing him intense heat one way, like, regular forest the other. It's hard for it to keep track of, like, where he is.
Mm-hmm.
So he uses explosives. He starts to injure the Predator a bit.
Yep, he uses a javelin, and he got a gold medal.
He did get a gold medal. He also got shot at.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately results in him falling into water and losing the mud that he's got on him. So the Predator catches up. And then, like, the last sort of, like, character building moment you get in it is the Predator sort of acknowledging that Dutch is the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, alright, we're gonna fight hand to hand then, see who is the better, like, hunter or killer or whatever.
Yeah, so, like, the Predator kind of downs tools. He takes off the plasma caster, he, detaches his things from his helmet, and then, like, he does the scene, the reveal.
The scene.
Yep, where he takes his mask off. And obviously you get the Arnold line.
Wow, what the fuck is that? He says.
He's like, mad yeet.
He's like, bro, you look like my grandma.
He's like, Dylan.
The Predator takes his mask off and it's Dylan. He's like, you son of a bitch.
And then they clasp hands and the movie ends. No, it's you are one ugly motherfucker.
And the Predator doesn't take kindly to that.
Yeah.
But that's when you first see the Predator's real face, and it's got like these mandibles that they're kind of like crab jaws. They like extend outwards. That was actually designed by James Cameron. The initial look they had for the Predator was a lot less cool, I want to say.
Just not quite as impressive in Alien.
I don't remember where I'm sure he said that they were like on a plane or something while they were going over they had to rebuild the look of the Predator, because initially it was going to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was going to be more agile, and they were like, it doesn't work. Like, against the the frame of Arnold Schwarzenegger is not the same.
And didn't Jean Claude Van Damme go, "Oh, I'm not going to do it because you can't see my face."
Yeah, because he was going to be like a special effect. Basically, he was like, nah.
Yeah, he was like,
And they replaced him with Kevin Peter Hall,
who does an amazing job.
Yeah, he was 7'2". Like, he had the physicality for it.
Yeah.
But James Cameron was like, I've always wanted to see something with mandibles like a crab. And Stan Winston was like, you know what? I'll draw that.
Yeah.
And then there was a Rastafarian painting in the office of someone. I can't remember who. That's where they got like the sort of dreadlock idea for the hair as well. And the two of them came together. Like, the two ideas came together to create like the look of the Predator now, which is incredibly iconic.
Oh no, it's incredibly iconic. I think that they made a very good decision with the direction they took on redesigning the character.
Mm-hmm. Then you just kind of got like the end of the film where the Predator beats the crap out of Arnold. Arnold runs away, gets to the trap that he set up.
Yeah.
He gives the whole, come on, do it, I'm right here, come on, do it, kill me, I'm right here, do it now, come on, kill me thing. Predator obviously susses out, hey, these spikes here that I almost stabbed my head into, I'm gonna go the other way. And when it goes the other way, it's like, ha, I got you, and then Dutch is like, ha, I got you, and it's kind of comical, the way that the log comes straight down and just hits the Predator straight in the face.
Yeah, because, like, in the scene, Arnie looks straight up, and then the camera goes up, and then he kicks the stick to make the log come down, and the Predator looks up, and is like, well.
Yeah, it's just looking up like, oh, damn.
Oh, shit. I've just got a smart...
It's such a heavy, like, thump right to the forehead, and you're just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
I don't want to be laughing at this.
You know, it probably wasn't as funny, like, the very first time you seen it in, like, 1987, but now you're just like, you know what?
In 2020, you look at that and you're like, that thing just got fucking flattened.
You're just like, you got a log to your face.
And then the Predator's like, hi, you think I am dead? Well, I take you with me with this wrist-mounted small nuclear explosion.
Yeah, because he's just, like, gurgling and laughing, but I can't tell. Is it Dutch's laugh, or is it...
No, it's using Billy's laugh again.
Billy's laugh again that he's using. Yeah. I thought it was, and I was like, wait a minute.
Because the thing is, Dutch never laughs during that film.
He doesn't... Does he not laugh?
Nope. Huh. He smiles a few times, but he never really laughs.
You know what?
It uses Billy's laugh one last time. I think it's kind of like a way of mocking Dutch as well, being like, yeah, I killed all your friends.
Yeah.
Like I have all their voices in my little voice bank.
In my voice box.
I still don't know how it mimics his laugh without the mask on, though. I never figured that out.
It's maybe more to do with it's maybe more in the wrist than it is in the mask. I don't know.
Could be. It could also just be that, like, it just knows how to make human sounds.
Yeah. It was just like, these are the ones that I would like to keep. I will download them into my hard drive.
Mm-hmm. And then it does, and you're like, that's kind of weird.
Like, kinda fuck that up. Fuck shit up, son.
And then, Dutch runs away and it explodes. Yeah. And then they kind of just pick Dutch up in a helicopter and fly away.
Yeah, like, Anna's alive in the helicopter, and they pick up Dutch, and the helicopter pilot is played by...
Kevin Peter Hall.
Who is the Predator.
The Predator.
So you get a scene with him, like, without the Predator makeup on as well, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was nice for him to just, like, have a moment out with the
suit.
Out with the suit, yeah.
But it probably would have been really nice for him to just have a day on set where he didn't have to sit in the makeup chair for fucking ages.
Yeah, because, like, wearing that suit as well, he couldn't see out of the Predator mask. And it was, like, a really heavy suit as well. So it must be nice for him just to have to chuck on a couple of army fatigues and just get in a helicopter set and be like, here we go.
Yeah. And then you get the closing, like, credits for the film, which are kind of like a sitcom opening, which I liked. I thought it was cool. Because everybody has their moment, like, a couple of folk, like, wink at the camera.
I'm not sure why Arnold didn't get one. I don't know if he didn't do one, or...
They forgot to do one, or who knows.
or if they just didn't want him to have one because he was the only like. Well, I suppose Anna gets one, but he was like the survivor of the team.
Yeah, he just gets like this bit where he turns around and he's like, which is a scene in the
Also,
movie.
there was something like obviously I've got like the special edition DVD and everything of this film.
Yeah.
You know how when it first kills Blaine, you see like blood splatter off him first, then it shoots him.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Have you seen Predator 2?
No, I've not seen Predator 2. That's the one that I haven't seen.
So it has a gun called the spear gun, and when they were filming it in the commentary, they were initially going to have the Predator use the spear gun, and when it shot it at Blaine, because he's turning around, it missed and it grazed his shoulder, which is why he looks like he kind of stops for a minute, like, whoa, wait a minute.
Oh.
And then the Predator's like, shit, I missed, and it shoots him with the plasma caster instead, which is why you get that first sort of like of blood coming off him.
That's like, that's one of those things where you're like, oh, cool, that's like neato information.
But then even if you don't have it, like, if you don't have that information, like, it's still a scary moment where just like blood spurts out of him for no reason.
Yeah, I really like little tidbits of behind the scene information, because like some people are probably like, well, that's really boring, I don't really care, but I'm like, oh, cool.
Like, there's a lot of like behind, so like if you go by the initial idea they had, it's kind of sad that they initially wanted to, for Predator 2, they wanted to kill Dutch behind the scenes because obviously Arnold didn't want to come back for the sequel.
Yeah.
But I think it was changed to have Dutch. They planned on killing him for knowing too much about the Predator.
Yeah.
But he escapes, and then when they were doing the Predator, they were initially going to have it that Dutch was going to show up and be like, "Hey, I fought this thing before," but Arnold didn't want to come in for like a small role.
Yeah. Which is fair.
I don't know what their official story is with Dutch, but
as I say, which is fair, because like if I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger and like I'm the main guy, I'm like the poster boy of the series, I'd like to not have like a 2-minute role. I'd like to like be involved, especially if it's like an iconic character, an iconic series. You want to be like, hey, I'm not just a cameo.
it would be kind of sad just to have him be a cameo.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me about this film, like I said at the start, is that it shifts from like a dude bro war film into like a really like intimidating like hunted kind of horror film.
Yeah. Where you're like, where is he? Who's he going for next? Will they
But
get
it's
him?
also the fact that it's like, you know, it's not hunting like scared teenagers like you get in things like Friday the 13th or whatever. Not saying that that's bad, but it's a different feel when the people who are being hunted are like huge, strong, well coordinated like soldiers.
Yeah, like I've definitely been in like obviously not the same situation, but situations before where they've had to like turn things back around and they've won countless times.
Yes, that's that reminds me of like the part where Max talking to the moon after Blaine's death. He's like 32 men and only me and you walked out, not a scratch on us. That's when you get the impression like these guys are good.
Yeah.
Like they faced off again. Like when they go to the thing where there's like 60 odd, maybe not 60, like somewhere between 40 and 60 insurgents.
Yeah. There's a
Like
few.
they get minor grazes at worst.
Yeah.
For damage. But then to have these people be hunted down one by something on its own is insane.
It is. And the fact that one of them even survives, because like it's, you would think it would either be like all of them survive or none of them survive.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like one of them does survive. Anna survives too, but she's not part of like the main group. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And because she was just like an innocent kind of bystander, the Predator was like, I don't want to kill her. There's no, like, it's almost insulting to kill someone who isn't armed or able to fight back.
Yeah.
Because the thing as well, it's not even because she's a woman. Like,
no, it's just because she wasn't armed.
She did not, like, it would have killed her if she had successfully pointed the gun and shot it, but Arnold kicks it out her hand in time.
Yeah.
In later films as well, like, the Predator does kill women that are armed. Like, it doesn't have, like, sexist behaviors like on it, like from its species, like, you know, the male and females are both hunter killers.
Yeah.
Like it does, like, it's not where it's like, oh, it only kills buff manly men. It's like if you're good, like in Predators, one of the people who are kidnapped and dropped on that planet is a woman who is incredibly good at her job as a sniper. Like, they don't discriminate. It's just the fact that Anna did not get to like threaten the predator with a gun.
Yeah, because Dutch made sure that she didn't. Because he
Yep.
figured
Which also
out...
goes to show that Dutch was doing a nice thing. He's like, I don't know you, but I'm not gonna have you killed by this thing as well.
Yeah, but overall, I would recommend everybody to give it a watch. If you like action movies, you're gonna enjoy it. If you like horror, you're gonna enjoy it. If you like creature features, you're gonna enjoy it. Because, I mean, overall, it's a creature. I would say it's overall a creature movie. Like, it's a sci-fi movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good genre blend. And Blake would obviously recommend that you watch this since it's her number one.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of those films that, like, it's when you watch it, you gotta understand the years it came out. Like,
Yeah.
Blaine does make a somewhat homophobic quote towards the team.
Yeah.
Which is immediately met with someone turning it round on him and being like, "Yeah, strap this on your sore ass."
Yeah.
Like, it's the kind of like camaraderie you get with groups like that. But
I may also point out that the reason he makes like his comment is because nobody wants any of his chewing tobacco.
yeah, like that is the whole reason that he makes that comment, is that he's chewing on some chewing tobacco and nobody else wants any.
And he's like, fucking...
I think the funniest part is that he says that they're slack-jawed, and I'm like,
yeah.
Out of everyone in that helicopter, you're the only one that's got like any sort of tilt to your mouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I would recommend it in the sense that, like, it is peak 80s from having, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, all those kind of people.
Yeah.
It's also a great, like, action film if you like explosions and
which
fire and gunfighting. You get your fill of that. And then if you like Alien, The Thing, something where, like, people are knocked from their position in the food chain, the Predator does it so well.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just throw you into it, it takes you into it very slowly. Where it's like, alright, so the first kill, no one knows what happened at all. Like, he just died.
Yeah.
You try and get information out of Anna, she can't tell them. She doesn't know. Second kill, you're like, oh my god, he exploded from the back. What's going on? And then with each kill, more and more of the Predator is revealed until the final one-on-one where you're like, oh Christ.
Yeah,
like,
where it's
the section where it holds Dutch against the rock by his neck, and you see, like, the solid foot, like 1 foot to maybe just over a foot in difference in height.
Oh, yeah.
And you gotta remember, back in, like, 87, Arnold Schwarzenegger was hot property as being the biggest man in the world. Like, he wasn't the biggest man, but, like, he was...
But he was very well known for being a giant man.
Yeah, like, he had just been the Terminator. He'd been in... what was the other film he was in just before that?
Jingle All the Way!
Jingle All the Way was way later.
I know.
Like, if you think about, like, the other films that he'd been in beforehand, so he'd been Hercules in a film that wasn't really released that much. Conan as well, like Conan the Barbarian, Terminator, Commando, like, all these films came out before Predator, so everyone was used to him being the biggest, muscliest, strongest person on screen. And then for the Predator to come along and not only, like, lift him off the ground with ease, but to be a full foot above him in height, like, it really gives you this feeling of, like, this thing is no joke. Like, this is a real, actual threat.
Yeah, it is.
It's just a really nice, like, release for its time as well.
It's just good.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't have, like, loads and loads of reasoning. It is good.
It really is. Like I said, I would recommend it to absolutely anyone. As long as they're into, like, horror-ish films and stuff. Like, if horror films aren't your thing, then obviously take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
But it is very, very enjoyable.
It certainly is. Also, totally recommend watching it with a friend.
Yeah.
Especially when he has all the background knowledge like Blake does.
Yeah, I quoted a bit of the film as we were watching it. I just can't stop myself. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's one of those things. Like, watch it by yourself, absolutely, it's enjoyable. But if you watch, like, if you've seen it and your friend's seen it and you're watching it together, have fun with it.
Yeah.
Just like imagine yourself in that position, but with the secondhand knowledge of being like, I know that it's the Predator. So like, when they're like, "Oh my God, what happened to Blaine's body?" You'd be like, "Oh, he just left."
Yeah. No, I just went
His
home.
role in the film was over. He went home.
Yeah. His mum
Like-
wouldn't let him out today.
It's in the trees, and you're like, "Oh no!"
What's
It's almost
in the
like
tree?
there's nothing around you but trees. Where else was it gonna go?
The
But no,
pig comes
absolutely
in.
do give it a
Pumbaa,
watch.
no.
It's great. It's a very good film.
Yeah. I do not know what the next film will be. Normally, these are picked either like the day before or the day of. It might be Casey, it might be Blake, it might not be anybody. Who knows?
I think the next one should have the dog. You and the dog.
Yeah.
Discussing
Yes.
Cujo.
I was going to say, he is actually here today. He is not on the mic, but he's on the floor having a nap. So he's technically involved in this episode. This is his debut.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, if we end up doing any of the other Predator films, then Blake will 100% be here. If we end up doing any of the Alien films, it'll be Casey, and then eventually we will probably do the 2 AVP films, and I'll have them both just fight it out.
Does Casey like them or not?
Casey likes the Alien movies.
No, does she like Alien versus Predator?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I never asked.
I don't think either of the films are good, but I love them.
That's
like they're both crap films.
That's
but
my
I have
stance.
fun.
Yeah, that's my stance. Is like, I don't think they're good movies, but will I fucking rewatch AVP 7 times? Yes, 100%. That's our takes on it. You can. I started 2 sentences at the same time there.
Yeah, you said I'll leave it and you stopped and I'm like, did you leave?
I'll leave links to all of like Blake's stuff in the description, like social media and streams, and X2 Attack and cool stuff like that, and also my stuff, which you can look at if you want. Nobody forcing you.
I don't know. I mean, you're here watching this video, but no one's forcing you to click anything else.
Nobody's forcing you to click anything apart from.
Not saying there's a 7'2" invisible alien behind you ready to steal your skull if you don't click on one of them links, but you know, you might never know. You can turn around, you won't see him.
You know, I ain't seen that he's got a plasma caster aimed right at your chest, but you know.
Aimed right at your feet.
At your big toe. Just your big toe.
Your big toes are under threat. That's not a real threat. You can't take that to court. It's a joke.
TM joke.
But yeah, this was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching the film again.
Yeah, and I enjoyed watching the film that I'm pretty sure I've seen before now that I've rewatched it, but before I was convinced I hadn't seen it. So, what are you gonna do, man?
Probably watch it again, honestly.
You're like, fuck it, let's just go again. But yeah, until next time, we will see you later on. Bye-bye.
Bye.